after this SOS that has come out from Russia to help Russian companies with critical components of automobiles, and not just automobiles, in fact, even the electronics industry in the country. Now, Indian auto component makers are likely to rise to the occasion. They are traveling to Russia this month and they are seeking opportunities in the Russian market, is what we hear. So around 50 firms including major auto component makers, and we'll find out which exactly those are from our correspondent who's reporting this exclusive piece of news. These are going to service the needs of a country which is facing shortage of parts, especially after Western countries have imposed these sanctions. Let's find out more from my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi. He's joining us to tell us more about how this has actually come into being, this entire need, the SOS coming out from Russia, and to decode what implications there are for the Indian economy. Prithviraj Srinivas, Chief Economist at Axis Capital, is also joining us. Great to have you both with us, gentlemen. Sumit, coming to you first, do tell us, because we understand the need for Russia. Western sanctions can be extremely damaging, and they would be in Russia's case as far as components are concerned, both for the automotive division as well as technology. Where exactly is the need, and why is India high up on that list of what Russia is seeking?
Well, we know that India has been supporting Russia since like many months, and who better than to turn over to when it comes to the dire need of auto components. Remember, many of the Western companies have shifted out of Russia. Their cars, vehicles are there, but the components are not there. So at that moment, they requested Indian companies to come and set up plants, or maybe look at participating in selling of components. As we hear, 50 companies are going to Russia this month. They will participate in selling their components to Russian manufacturers. They may later on look at putting up plants there, but right now, Russia is in dire need. A delegation of Indian industries had gone to Russia last month. What Russia wanted was components, not just automotive, but electronics too. Automobiles, because they are also in short supply. So India is clearly coming to rescue of Russia at this juncture. As we understand, the component players are going. Also, one point in focus is the currency. India is getting discounted crude from Russia in rupees. So rupees currency has to be liquidated somewhere. And what better way than to give it to Indian companies only?
Mr. Srinivas, do come in on that point. As far as the rupee-ruble trade is concerned between India and Russia, as far as crude oil is concerned, that trade has continued. We've, here in India, continued to import Russian oil, despite the kind of sanctions that the Western world has imposed, as far as that business is concerned. And now there is this opportunity where Russia can actually service these invoices that India may serve when it comes to components, whether it's in the automotive industry or electronics. Tell us about the potential that this really brings to the table for India.
So India has a lot of companies that are working in specifically in this sector. Homegrown auto component makers have become
I'll
global
take in a
MNCs.
perspective from Mr. Srinivas. I'll just take in a perspective from Mr. Srinivas, and I'll come to the companies that would perhaps be the best place to service these needs. But Mr. Srinivas, when it comes to this rupee-ruble trade, how exactly is the Indian economy, which of course is trying very hard to get rupee trade going all across the world and make the rupee that much more powerful, to service that end, how much will this serve, this SOS that's coming out of Russia, and Indian auto component makers actually being able to rise to the occasion?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. Just to give you, throw a big number at you, the opportunity is about $300 billion in size. That's the size of Russia's imports annually. But prior to the crisis, I mean, India's market share in Russia was negligible. It was just about 1% at about $3 billion. And a third of this was pharmaceuticals as well as electronic goods. Now, there is, I mean, improving our exports and improving our market share in Russia is one clear way in which, we can sort of support the Russian economy and also ensure that some of that rupee surplus that they are building up gets used. So those rupees find their way back home. Specifically to auto and aircraft parts, I mean, the size is about $15 billion annually. That's the size of the market potential. So this is quite significant. And if I look at India's market share at this point in time, it's again extremely negligible. But what's interesting though is if you look at Russia's car sales last year, and if you look at the rankings and the brands, and you can see that pretty much the Chinese auto companies have captured a large part of the market share, and they've sort of taken it up from Korean, European, and American brands. My sense is that Indian firms can certainly compete with these brands, but the one key problem that they'll probably have to overcome is that if they were to service the Russian market in a big way, what would the potential backlash be from sanctions? So in a way, only firms today who do not have any trade, technical, or financial relations with US, Europe, Korea, and Japan would probably be in a position to safely conduct this trade in Russia. So I think that's one problem that we need to solve. So the opportunity is humongous, but we do have that big problem to overcome.
Yes, indeed. And perhaps, Sumit, you might have a deeper understanding of this because the competitive landscape, now that when Russia is looking out for partners and friends in this particular period of time, as much as business opportunity that it presents itself, India has to play this very warily. Of course, they've made their stance very clear to the world when it comes to import of Russian oil. But when it comes to helping Russia for various industries right now, the competitive landscape, as far as what Russia could possibly look at, India comes up trumps. In that sense, which are the companies that are best poised right now to be able to take on the kind of needs that Russia has, and how do they stand against the rest of the players who would also be pitching, other countries that would be also pitching for Russian business?
As homegrown auto component majors from Sona Koyo to Motherson Sumi to Minda, they all are always in search of good big markets. Remember one thing, Western countries are staring at recession. We have seen Germany getting into recession, technical recession now, at the time when the world is staring at many possibilities and impossibilities. Definitely Russia, it presents a good market. The problem is there of currency stabilization, dollar to ruble, ruble to rupee. Well, that can be also factored into later on, but these companies are always on lookout for big markets. And Russia is presenting an opportunity when Western countries are staring at a recession. So all Indian big auto component makers, as we understand, are going to participate, going to go to Russia to take part in overall, we can say that the B2B dealings, exhibitions, to show the companies there that what support they can give. The government also there, what support can come from India's side. As far as India's sanctions sphere is concerned, India has made it amply clear earlier also that it will keep on having a business ties with Russia. Remember, Russia and India had ties going back to decades. And we all have seen India and Russia standing by each other in tough time. It's a time when Indian companies are needed there. Definitely, India is not going to turn its back on Russia.
Time that India has this huge trade deficit, Mr. Prithviraj, do tell us about the possibilities now, because as much as India tries to create the Make in India manufacturing hub that India hasn't been able to provide in the last many years, and now this entire drive towards manufacturing, how much is this kind of activity really going to help? Because these are opportunities that one needs to grab and run with. As far as pharma is concerned, in the wake of the entire pandemic, I'm not sure whether India was able to grab the opportunity. These are opportunities that need to be grabbed. Would you agree? And if so, what is the potential that it has to correct the yawning trade deficit that India suffers from?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is our moment. In fact, the way if you look at our population and demographics as well, I mean, over the next 4 decades, I mean, that's the moment that India needs to capture. We need to grow our economy and provide jobs. So one of the ways in which we can do it, and we must do and definitely try, is to sort of build out our manufacturing base so that we can move people from farm to factories. Over the pandemic, we can definitely see that India has seen a significant improvement in pharmaceuticals, chemicals, as well as base metals trade, and we have captured market share. Now, not just to, I think we need to also look at beyond goods, right? I mean, if you look at services trade as well, I mean, that's another emerging, a buoyant sort of positive trend that we are seeing, where India is also capturing much larger share of the digitization space in the world. I mean, post-pandemic, a lot of people have started to work from home. Businesses have realized that, a lot of the business as well as work is going to be conducted online. So that space is as well, India is beginning to capture. You can see that our net services surplus, which used to be about $8 billion per month, has risen to about $11-12 billion over the last over the last 2 years during the pandemic, and more recently has gone up even further to about $13-14 billion. All positive trends. It does suggest that India is gaining market share, but there's a lot more that we need to do. So my sense is that it is time for us to grab opportunities. Specifically to Russia, I would say that's one issue on how to solve for potential sanctions backlash.
Yes.
I mean, that is something that we need to solve geopolitically.
There's no taking away from that, indeed, as far as the possibilities, because you need to kind of balance that out as well. As much as business is important, manufacturing is important, but at the end of the day, we want to do business with the entire world and not just certain pockets. But Sumit Chaturvedi, Prithviraj Srinivas, many thanks for joining us on this discussion here on ET Now on our show India Tonight.